Welcome to Friday Fuel.
What's up, everybody? Good morning.
Morning.
What's up?
Well, today we were thinking, we're not gonna have a special guest. I don't remember the last time it was that it was just the four of us on here. Do you guys remember? That was probably
I think it was the second week.
5? Yeah, it's like week 2.
Yeah, it's been a while.
Yeah.
But happy to be on with you guys. Today we're going to be talking about your network and networking and what that can do for your business, what that's done for us. The first thing that comes to my mind, I was just in a meeting the other day, and somebody said, your network is your net worth. And hold up.
Well, Joshua Young.
Joshua Youngs is in here.
Josh, what are you doing? Can we get love for Josh in the chat, please? Shout out Josh.
So
we love you, Josh. Get feeling better, you crazy dog.
And he's a beast. So we were gonna post this. We love you, Josh. Keep slaying.
Yeah, we were gonna send you a video, but since you're in here, everyone,
since you're here,
get better soon, Josh. We love you.
I posted on my story this morning for him.
Yes, sir.
Okay, Alex.
Yeah, tell him to go rest, bro. Get some sleep. Yeah, 100%.
Dude doesn't stop, man. That's
no, he doesn't, man.
For real.
He doesn't.
And that's what we're going to talk about today.
That's how Joshua Youngs is the freaking man.
Yeah,
the man.
I mean, I remember the first time I actually met Joshua Youngs. Actually had a conversation with him. Like, I saw him at 8%, and I was like, wow, that guy's a beast. But I had a conversation with him. It was at Cody's 1% conference. And we're going to touch on this a little bit later, but, I just kind of walked up to him and I just struck up a conversation. I was like, hey, what's up, man? Like, you're doing really awesome. Congrats. And I was just shooting the shit with him, right? Just talking. And he was giving me advice on my business and what I could do better. And I think that's really cool. So stepping out of your comfort zone is definitely one of those things, right?
Yep.
But yeah, back to what I was saying before. Your network is your net worth. And somebody said, well, to an extent, right? Because I don't think Bill Gates is sitting around, saying, oh yeah, my network is my net worth, right? he doesn't need anything from anybody. So I think to get to a certain point, that is true. But until then, you got to keep grinding. So I think we've all had several different opportunities that we can, talk about how we've networked and it's gotten us to where we are today. I know most recently, Donnie, you had an experience. Do you want to tell us a little bit about that?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. So literally just a couple of days ago on Tuesday, I wake up to a text from Cody asking where I lived. Just didn't think much of it and was just like, I'm in Ocala, Florida. And he says, bro, I'm here. And of course, I was like, what the hell? You're in Ocala. What? And it just happens that a very large State Farm owner saw Cody through socials and ended up hiring him to come train some of his agents down here in Ocala, Florida. So he told me, hey, come up here at lunch, meet the people. I've been talking about you a little bit. They want to meet you. Jumped at it right away. And the opportunity to go see Cody, especially in my hometown, is something I'm always going to go do. Showed up, went to lunch, shook everybody's hands, and was actually invited to lunch with Cody and the State Farm owner, who is actually the 11th largest State Farm owner across all products in the nation.
Wow.
Had no business being at this lunch, but I was invited along. I'm, of course, going to be very gracious and say yes, And Cody pulls me to the side and he's like, hey, I'm here right now. And this guy has such a large book of business. He has no one that can really – he has very little life insurance business throughout his book. And, he's looking for someone that can, train and can work this book of business. And I said, yes, please. So I went to lunch and, you just gotta be yourself. You got to ask really, really good questions. You have to be engaged, and had a great lunch with Cody and this owner. And by the end of it, the owner took me to the side and said, hey, I want to sit you down. I want to talk to you a little bit and see if we can do some work. So I'm actually going to see him next Friday and see if we can possibly write some business together. So
Go.
Let's
it's just
go,
one of those
dude.
things where this was just me getting invited to lunch. Getting invited to lunch, saying, "Hey, yeah, let me go show up." Had no business being there again. Nowhere close to having any business being there, and made the most of it, and had a really, really great opportunity because of it. And again, it's just one of those things where you just got to show up. You got to put yourself out there. You got to show up. You got to make yourself uncomfortable. I was scared to death talking to these guys. They were talking about things that went right over my head, but I just stayed. I asked really good questions when I was confused or no explanation on, and like I said, I had a really good opportunity, and I'm excited to explore it.
That's awesome.
Well, and I think one of those things that, a lot of us go to these conferences, and a lot of people go to it for motivational purposes. I personally go to network.
Absolutely.
Joe Frazier is the freaking man as far as networking goes. I feel like he's just always talking to everybody. But for you, Donnie, I feel like when you have those kind of big things going on in my own business life, I feel like it stems from like 10 steps behind. So it's like how you got that was because you went to a Cody event or you started watching his things. You got to know Cody. You did so many different things along the way that then finally got you that relationship, which should be a pretty freaking huge relationship for you.
Oh, 100%.
Right? And so a lot of times networking, when you're going to a networking event or whatever it is, you're usually you're not going to get something right off the bat where it's just like, you're getting referrals immediately.
Yeah.
It's going to be, you go there, you maybe ask to take them out to lunch or have a Zoom meeting or whatever it is. And then that way you actually cultivate a relationship. Yep. Because I know for me, if I'm going to be handing out business, I don't want to hand out the business to somebody I don't trust. Absolutely. And so you have to develop that trust, that friendship, so that there is some sort of reciprocity going back and forth, right?
Absolutely.
So
and this opportunity came from, Cody talking about us and more specifically the ultimate agent, so any opportunity that comes your way, you gotta grind at it. You got to show your best form, how motivated you are, because again, it'll pay off in the long run.
Yeah.
I think it really comes back to in the beginning part of it, even before the networking, is investing in yourself, right? So when we all go to these 8% conferences, we have to invest in ourselves and pay the money for the ticket, obviously, whatever ticket level it is. That's how we're actually going to get to network with these people. So Cody always says it's kind of like you got to pay to play a little bit. And that really is the case, because you're getting in the room with these individuals. You're getting around like-minded people that want to do what you want to do, right? Yep. And that's the number one thing, is investing in yourself, because a lot of agents that I know of, and most agents are scared to invest in themselves, right? So stepping outside your comfort zone and investing in yourself is the number one thing, right? That is the most important thing, baby. I think like with Cody, he's one of our, great mentors, and, we invested in him and Cody invested in us. So that's really what it takes.
Yeah. And I agree with Josh there to change how you word that, Donnie.
Yeah, I agree.
I think a lot of us, that's where we stop ourselves from networking. Before the show started, me and Adam were talking a little bit about this, but everybody's just a regular human being. They're just, some people make more money or, are a little bit more successful than you are at some point in time. But that doesn't mean that you can't go up and talk to them. And one thing I've been surprised at, which it was my own limiting belief, successful people are really, really nice. And they actually want to help you, because they know that there's a very few amount of people that if they actually give that information to, they're actually going to go and put it into work. So they share information freely because they know that most of us, including myself, sometimes we don't go and put it into work.
That's far.
And so it's just, they're very, very willing to share. So if you're at an 8%, if you're at a SWAT, if you're at whatever it is, just at your local grocery store and you see somebody who's successful, go up and talk to them, introduce yourself, make eye contact, shake their hand, and then ask them a couple questions. So it's very, very important that you just make the introduction and put yourself out there, because they want to share, they want to help.
I think so much of it too is just relationship building, right? Like what Joe said a second ago. He's like, people do business with people they know, like, and trust, right?
100%.
And I think about, so I do a lot of ACA under 65 health. And here in North Carolina, one of the most coveted contracts that you can get is with Blue Cross Blue Shield of North Carolina, because they only give it out to like 300 agents total, and they only give it to North Carolina residents. And so if you're not meeting their minimum requirements, they cut you off and they give your contract to somebody else. So, just recently I had the opportunity to go to this networking event at a hockey game, and I don't watch hockey. I don't know anything about hockey. And this thing was like 2 hours away from my house, but I was like, I got to go to this thing because I know the Blue Cross Blue Shield guy is going to be there. So I went and I was talking with him, and come to find out I get myself a Blue Cross Blue Shield contract, right? Just from going to this event and talking to the guy. So who knows what kind of opportunities that'll open up for me, but Alex, go ahead.
Yeah, so that was a really good point, because even for me, so me and Jeff have been doing these annuity seminars, right? Mm-hmm. Me and Jeff and my dad, we went to SWAT, and my mom, we all went to SWAT together. There was this lady named Carrie. I can't remember her last name. This is so bad. I don't know her last name, but she works with a vendor, an annuity seminar vendor that is called White Glove. My dad met her at that it was just a nice little it was just a board that they had up, a little booth at SWAT. My dad met her. My dad said, "Hey, Ollie, this, and this, and this." And my dad was like, "Let's do it." And that's another important thing. And that's helped transform my business and my life, is doing these annuity seminars. I promise. Me and Jeff both invested in ourselves in this annuity seminar. And that would have never happened if we would have never met Carrie at SWAT. Right. So getting in the room with these people and actually interacting with these people at these booths, because you don't know what they can offer to you, right, is the number one thing too. Is, hey, we need to make sure we talk with everybody. We have to talk. And then
how much annuity business did you write, Alex? Tell the people.
So me and Jeff together this past week have been able to help and protect a little over 600,000 in annuity business together. So
this week.
Yeah.
This week.
Wow.
So,
all because of one relationship.
Yeah. And I want to make a quick point of that too. You hear how the second that this vendor came, with Ollie's, or came to Ollie with some really good information, and he just said, "Let's do it." Instead of, let me go back to the office, let me, run it, see if the numbers make sense. He jumped at it, and look what it's led. That sometimes you can't be scared to jump. If it doesn't work, so be it. Don't invest something that's going to hurt you if it doesn't work.
Yep.
But make a sizable investment so that if it does work, it pays off for you. And jump at it.
That's exactly it. Fire ready.
Yeah.
You just go for it. And if it fails, it fails.
Yeah. And this lady has literally helped my dad do his own seminars now. And me and Jeff are doing our seminars. So these are two completely different seminars now. We're obviously all helping each other out, but I'm telling you, relationship building is probably the number one thing when it comes to this job for sure. It's all relationship based. You have to create relationships, because it's going to create more opportunities for you in the future in your business, and you don't even know what's going to come.
And on that comment too of the fire ready aim, I think so much of why people aren't successful or why they don't do things is because we get analysis paralysis.
Yeah.
Right? Like we've heard several people talk about that. Where if you just start thinking about it too much, you end up overcomplicating it, or you end up just not doing it overall. And you're in the same place that you were before, having not done anything, if you would have just taken the risk, taken the step, and pulled the trigger, right? There you go. Heard this quote yesterday. I loved it.
Yeah. Go ahead.
I was just going to ask Alex about what are some other ways that you have invested in yourself? I know since before Ultimate Agent, you weren't like really invested in your business and building, but then post Ultimate Agent, you've kind of skyrocketed your business. So what are some other ways that you've kind of taken that message to heart and invested in yourself?
Yeah. So coming into the Ultimate Agent, you're spot on. I was not invested in myself at all. I was literally just sitting there calling a non-responder list, I was scared. I'll be honest, I really didn't have the money to invest in myself. I did, but I didn't, right? I was down to, let's say, my last 4,000 or 5,000, and I should have put it in my business, but I just wanted to hold my money tight, right? And be stingy with it. And looking at the Ultimate Agent and the success we all had on the show, right? I was like, this is a no-brainer. Like, this is Cody. Imagine what another person can give me. Imagine what this person can give me. Imagine what this person can give me, right? So me investing in myself after the Ultimate Agent, like I gave, I'm going to Nate's mentorship. Nate offered mentorship, his mentor, here in the beginning of November. And I spent quite thousands of dollars on that, as well as because I want to see what his mentor did and what Nate's doing from a different standpoint from my dad or Cody, right? And see what they can offer me, what I can put back into my business, right? So there's so many different people in this industry that can give you something different than someone else already did, right? And my man Joshua Youngs is going to it. Let's freaking go. Let's go. That'll be dope. That'll be dope. Well, yeah, so that's what I'm saying. Like, there's so many different people that can give you so much to put back into your business. Like, I always get so much different mentorship from my dad, and I'm lucky I don't even have to pay for it, right? He's so knowledgeable in the things that he's done, and he's gave me so many different takeaways and stuff. But now I look at the Nates and I look at the Codys, and there's so many different people that can give me so many different bits and pieces. And that's why I'm continuing to invest in myself, because it's going to help me push my business.
Yeah. And I think one thing we want to touch up on that is you're willing to learn and you're actually listening.
Absolutely.
So many people, they get given like millions of golden nuggets that they can go and put in their business, and they're just like, oh, no, that's not for me. Or they're just not even listening. It just goes just right over their head, and they just don't apply it. And it's just like, dude, you're sitting on a gold mine, man.
Yep.
Yeah.
What are you doing?
It's always been crazy to me when I go to an event that I paid hundreds of dollars to be at, or even thousands of dollars, and you just see people there like on their phones.
On their phone, sitting in the back of the room.
Just not going to breakouts, like,
or they're just not even in the room, dude. Like, they're just like, what are you doing? But
I got my iPad taking notes, front row.
Yep. That's right.
Most of the time, those are the people not being successful too.
Oh, yeah.
Josh said guilty.
I don't think he's guilty. Josh isn't guilty.
Yes, yeah, come on now.
He's already there though, so like he's the Bill Gates status in the Medicare space.
He's on his phone closing deals.
Doesn't apply.
One thing I wanted to touch on, I touched on it last week, is I'm getting in a local networking group. So BNI's, whatever it is, joining the chamber, creating your own, whatever it is, create a group of like-minded individuals, but also industries that interlap a little bit. Another success story, today I've got another sale that I'll probably get from my BNI group. He is a roofer, makes a crap ton of money, and we're probably going to write a good-sized life insurance policy on him. And so that comes from, he's actually in my networking group. He's in my BNI, and I've talked about it long enough. I've been there for over 2 years, and he's finally just like, okay, yeah, let's do something. So it won't pay off immediately, but it will pay off eventually. And I feel like I'm kind of like Josh as well. I'm a pretty big introvert as far as like big groups. I get intimidated, and it's just like, I'm just gonna, sit here and not talk to anybody. But whenever I've done that, I haven't benefited it at all. Yeah. And so put yourself outside of your comfort zone, go meet people. I promise you'll make some good friends.
I mean, look at us. We're a prime example, right?
Yeah.
We were all competitors on this reality TV show, and now we're all like great friends, and we talk to each other like.
When's that coming out anyway? When is that show coming out?
I think they actually canceled it because.
Yeah. No longer happening. Just kidding.
Speaking of Ultimate Agent though, and networking, I wanted to share a little bit of my experience. If you didn't know me pre Ultimate Agent. One of my kind of claims to fame, or how I got picked to be on the show, was this method that I thought up. I was in a group with Cody. It was called Rising Stars, and you paid a monthly subscription to be in this group. And he basically did this like weekly training, and I just wanted to be seen, right? Like I wanted Cody to know my name. I wanted him to know who I was. But it just required so much consistent effort of like being there, showing up, being in the room, being engaged. And so when they picked the contestants for season 1 of the show, I was like, I gotta get on this. But I didn't really do anything like out of the ordinary to get on. I submitted my video, whatever, and then that was it. Didn't get picked. So come season 2, when he announced it, I was like, I'm definitely getting on this time. So like I was brainstorming ideas. I was talking to some of the previous contestants, like, what did you do different? And I had this idea. I was like, well, what if I could make a consistent post on social media every single day of why I should be on the show, or like, you know, to put my name out there, get me, you know, some exposure, whatever. And so I was just like scrolling on Facebook and I saw a meme and I was like, well, what if I made some memes about myself being on the show? So thank you, Joshua.
You would have been working for Joshua.
So if you didn't see them, what I did was I created at least one meme every single day for an entire month. And they were all based around like Adam Lindsay should be a contestant on season 2 of Ultimate Agent. And it was hilarious. And I tagged Cody every single day. And he made sure to mention it on stage when I got picked about like being the most engaged, whatever. And they're even going to include it on the show. Like I think they're going to have a little quick snippet of all the memes on there. So
it would be a disservice if they didn't.
It would. Yes.
Yeah.
So it was just funny because actually last month I started getting all of the like 1 year ago today reminders, and it was showing all these memes every single day, and it just made me laugh. So, but great example of just coming up with a crazy idea that I didn't think would work that effectively, and here we are today. So I like that.
Yeah, and I'd like to speak to my experience and what I kind of think sort of picked me a little bit, because you know my story is more of a no excuses kind of story. The first 8%, whenever season 1 of The Ultimate Agent came out, I connected with shout out Johnny Nitafan, and he actually convinced me. He said, hey, you know, you got to get around people with like minds, you got to get around successful people, you got to come to this conference. And I had $300 in my bank account at the time. I was like, dude, I don't think I'm gonna be able to do it. So that night I went and signed up for a credit card, was instant approved, and the next day, or within a couple days, whenever I got the card, I put the conference a diamond ticket on the credit card and drove 16 hours to Texas. Made sure to, you know, post my journey. Cody posted me almost instantaneously on my trip. That's kind of the icebreaker between me and him, saying, hey, shout out, look at this guy, you know, no excuses. And I just kept that same mentality to anything that came up, and was always, even if I have to drive multiple days, I'm going to get there. If I have to put it on a credit card and pay it off over the next couple of months, I'm going to get there.
Donald is a legend.
And
that's dedication, man.
Shout out Josh. He was actually the first person that I took a photo with at 8% my first year. And posted it on my Instagram to this day. So shout out Josh. But again, it's there's so many opportunities out there, and they're just waiting for you. Drive 16 hours to get there. Who cares if you can't get a flight, or if a flight's too expensive? I think the total gas was $300. I think a round trip ticket for the flight, because it was so late, was like $1,500. So I sold $1,200 just by being uncomfortable for a couple of days. And let me tell you, that $2,000 from that credit card paid off tenfold over the course of our relationship with Cody, with you guys, with insurance. Yeah. All because the next day I said, hey, I got to do this. Signed up for a credit card that night. Within a couple of days, signed up for the trip. And then a week later was heading to Texas for a 2-day trip.
That's wild.
Dude, that's crazy.
Bet on yourself, dude.
I want you guys to recognize what he did, though. Like, what this dude did. His back was against the wall. He had no money. He said, I'm just going to freaking grab a credit card and do it. I don't care. Yep. Right? You're hanging on your money. That's what's literally keeping you broke, right? So you might as well just go ahead and put it in there. Your back's already against the wall. You can't go back much farther, like we talked about a couple shows ago. So just do it, right? And that raises me another question to all you guys is, hey, what would you guys give advice to for an agent that's struggling, that really doesn't have much money, that wants to invest, but they can't and they're scared to? That's one question that I have up in the air is like, what would you guys say to those individuals?
I'll kind of start on that. I think because I've also been in a point where I haven't had money before. And you get to that point to where it's just like, hey, do I join a different industry or do I make this last investment in myself and just really take the bet? For example, for an 8% ticket, if you don't have money, don't go buy Fire Pro. Just buy the cheapest ticket that you can, get in the room, and then in the breakout sessions or in between speakers or lunchtime, whatever it is, that's when you go and you do everything in your power to meet the people that you need to meet.
Absolutely.
Get in the room, talk to everybody you can, make that $99 investment or whatever it is for those back row seats to go in the suite with Joe Frazier Camper.
That's
right. Find a way to go get in the room. I promise you, if you knock on that door every freaking day and just say, hey, look, I need 5 minutes of your time. I really just have a couple questions. Don't waste their 5 minutes though.
Absolutely.
If you are talking to somebody who is a high achiever, their best asset that they hold closest to them is their time. So if you ask for 5 minutes, make it a gosh darn good 5 minutes. Ask good questions, be engaged, ask follow-up questions, do whatever it can so that you can learn what you need to do in that short amount of time, because they're moving at a lot higher frequency than most of us. And so that would be my suggestion, is just get in the room and then do the best you can.
That's awesome. Yeah, I think that's so important, just getting in the room. The first time that I went to 8%, I literally had like no money at all. Like I was in debt and I didn't really have the belief in myself at the time. And so I was like, well, I'm just not going to go to 8%. Like we lost Donnie.
See you, Donnie.
Yeah, for real.
So I was like, I'm just not going to go. Right. I didn't really see the value in it. And so I decided not to go. And then Cody comes up with this thing. He's like, hey, we're going to sponsor 5 agents or whatever it is to go. We're going to pay for your flight. We're going to pay for your hotel. We're going to pay for your ticket. And I was like, well, dang, I want that. So like I applied and I did all these things to get on for that. And I actually got picked. And so my first year, I didn't have to pay anything to go to 8%. And that changed my life. Like if that hadn't happened, I was probably like 2 weeks away from just quitting and leaving the industry. And
That's
Cody
great.
saved me, like for real. And I sent him, I remember that year after Ed Milet spoke, you know, everybody was just crying, right? And I jumped into the hallway and I was just like bawling my eyes out. And I shot a video. I probably still have it on my phone. I shot a video just like thanking Cody so much for changing my life. And it was crazy. And him and Lauren both watched it and they cried. And like, that's why he does it, right? To help people. And that's why we do what we do, right?
Yep.
To help people and put them in a better situation. And I kind of see that as like my why, right? Because like somebody helped me to put me in a better situation. So now I want to help other people to do the same.
Absolutely.
And I think one of the best ways to do that is just by getting around more people, finding opportunities to be able to talk to more people. One other thought that I just had with doing health insurance, it's kind of harder to find clients for health insurance because the leads are more expensive, but it's not as quick of a revenue producing activity, right? Because ACA doesn't pay very much upfront. It's all as earned per person.
Yeah.
So buying leads, it's like more expensive to buy a lead than it is to acquire the client upfront. So I actually got an opportunity just here recently to set up a booth in Walmart for ACA, you know, right during open enrollment. And so I'm going to go and I'm just going to network with everybody that walks by the table.
Yep.
And I think that'll be really cool. I'm excited to do that. I'll probably go in next week and start that. So
yeah, I'd love for you to come back and tell us the metrics and how well you did after that. That's very interesting.
Yeah, I'll track everything and see how it goes.
Yeah.
Does anybody else have any final remarks before we wrap this up?
I'm good, man.
Just put your back against the wall, man. Get out there, man. Like so many people are just sitting at home, especially after COVID, just not doing a single thing. Your relationships are everything, not only in this business but in life, in other aspects of the world, work. Like you got to get in the doors, you got to get around people, you got to it's so hard by yourself, man. More power to you if you can do it by yourself, but doing it as a group is so much easier. Especially with these guys are a great example. When we put our minds together, we get things done, and we come at it from perspectives, and we respect each other's perspectives. And it's so much easier doing things as a group with guys like these than it is by myself. I'll tell you that firsthand. So find your group, find your tribe, find people to get around, get out of the house, get out of the office, and go do it.
Yep.
That just reminded me of a quote that I love. It says, if you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together.
Man,
So
Amen.
that's a great way to end it.
I appreciate all of you guys. Thanks for networking with me and for the relationships that we've built. Thank you all for tuning in today. Hopefully this was helpful and that you can apply some piece of knowledge that we said today.
Network with us. Hit us up. Ask us questions.
Yep. Feel free to reach out.
The DMs are open.
Get better, Joshua Youngs.
Get better, Josh.
Yes,
Love
please.
it. Yes, please.
All right, guys. Well, appreciate it. Have a very good Friday, and we'll see you next
Go
week.
kill it today, y'all.
See it.
Peace.